All right, guys, this is the 2025 Ford Bronco Sport. And if you didn't know it by looking at it, it has been refreshed. You can't really tell because the styling is mostly the same as it was before. That's okay with me because I like the way it looks. After a few years on the market, I still think it looks great. Now, if you hear a bunch of clicking and grinding and sliding, that's because I'm out here on what's pretty much a glorified gravel road with, I don't know, a few bumps and humps here and there, but nothing too extreme. Now, we have been promised a little more challenging terrain later on when we are driving the 2-liter turbocharged version. This one I am driving. This is the base trim. Yeah, it's got a black diamond package, but that means it's got a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder engine under the hood. So the stuff we're doing, not especially challenging, somewhat disappointingly so. Now look, I know some people have a problem with 3-cylinder power, but here is the reality. Automakers, they need to find ways to eke out just a little bit more efficiency, lower the emissions of their vehicles, and 3-cylinder power with turbo, I might add, is an easy way to do that. And it doesn't necessarily feel like the Bronco Sport is underpowered, even in a situation like this. Now, we did do a little bit more extreme four-wheeling there, a little crevice that we had to crawl across, took a little bit more focus, but this thing doesn't feel like it needs more torque. It's got 200 pound-feet of it this year, which is a little bit more than before. That's to go with 180 horsepower. Again, a slight uptick over the previous year. It's more than enough in this application, although I will say, I do prefer the 2-liter. It's meatier, it makes 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. And if you really want to have fun with your Bronco Sport, that is the one to go with, especially because of some of the extras you can get with that version that you cannot get with the 3-cylinder. Now, I should also add that 4-wheel drive is standard across the Bronco Sport lineup, which I like to see. Yes, that's becoming more and more common with small crossovers like this one. But you know, with something that is targeted towards 4-wheeling, well, you should have 4-wheel drive, and this thing has got it. Although I will say it's more of an all-wheel drive system because you can't control it. Yes, there are some drive modes down here. You can spin this dial. This one, you cannot lock the 4-wheel drive system. So it is a fully automatic setup, and that means it's all-wheel drive and not 4-wheel drive. But aside from that little digression, even without all-terrain tires, this thing is handling itself perfectly fine. All right, so even though we are on the trail, let's talk a little bit about the overall experience here. One of the biggest additions for 2025, this 13.2-inch touchscreen, and I really do like it. Now, I do wish there were more controls inside because aside from this bank down here that has volume and a few others, you don't get much, especially for climate. If you want to use the climate system, you've got to do it through the touchscreen. But I like the fact that you can have a full screen Apple CarPlay or Android Auto setup, or shrink it down and have this extra sort of third of the screen for whatever other widget you want to have up on the display for you. Otherwise, this thing has a full digital instrument display. It's comfortable, it's cozy. I've got a ton of headroom in here, which I absolutely love, although I will say not much leg room in the back seat with the front row in my comfortable position, whether you're talking about the driver's seat or the passenger seat. That part is a little bit of a bummer, but I do like how much headroom there is back there because this thing has that sort of elevated roof line that gives you just a bit more space in the back seat. And that is very cool, whether you're talking about seating people back there or filling this thing full of stuff for a weekend adventure, whether you're in a off-highway recreational area like this one, or you're just going camping with some friends. This thing also has that dual function tailgate. So it opens conventionally, but the glass opens separately, and that is such an underused feature in modern SUVs. It feels so handy because if you have this thing loaded up with stuff, you open the tailgate, everything's gonna spill out, but if you just need to grab something out really quick, it's nice being able to flip that glass up. I know it seems simple, but I've driven so many vehicles that would benefit from it, and I love that Ford has included it in the Bronco Sport. All right, now we are ready for the fun to begin because we are in the 2-liter Bronco Sport Badlands with the Sasquatch package, which means I have the new for 2025 rally drive mode, and it's really letting me take advantage of the torque vectoring all-wheel drive system. You can get the back end kicking out just a little bit here. Now, this is some fairly deep sand, but it's still doing the job it's supposed to, which, aside from being an awful lot of fun, is getting the torque down in a situation like this one. Now, do I expect many people to be ripping through a sort of desert scenario with their Bronco Sport? No, but it's pretty cool that you can if you want to. Now, this one does, of course, have more output, 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. Yes, I can feel it. I can also hear it, although it is artificial sound being pumped into the cabin, but I think it sounds cool. But here's my controversial opinion. I don't think you need the 2-liter. Yeah, it's great having extra output, but I'm telling you right now, the 1.5 has more than enough. And now that you can get this Sasquatch package with the 1.5 liter, I really don't think you have to spring for this top-of-the-line version of the Bronco Sport. Now, here we are on one of the hill climbs that they apparently tested this Bronco Sport Badlands with the Sasquatch package on to put it through its paces. This is a pretty aggressive trail climb, I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, unsurprisingly, it's doing its job. As you can hear, a little bit of wheel spin, but that's a good thing. It's handling itself just fine. This thing is, well, again, doing its job. These all-terrain tires are really helpful, and so is all the torque of this 2-liter engine. But I'm telling you right now, I still say the 1.5 might be the way to go, especially because you are going to save some money. This Badlands version, 49 grand. If you want the Sasquatch package, it's another 4,500 bucks, and then there's freight and tax on top of that. Now, you can really feel the suspension articulating, but again, more importantly, these all-terrain tires are just so damn good and so damn important. Although I will say, if you do not think you are going to use the Sasquatch package, whether it's a scenario like this, more mud, more sand, no matter what, if you are not going to use it, I'm telling you, you might be better off skipping it, because driving it on all-season tires, it handles just so much better. A little bit of slop in the steering with the all-terrain tires, which, yes, is normal, but it's not great for everyday driving. So consider that carefully before you decide on the Sasquatch package, because it really is a waste if you are not going to use it. Well, my big mouth, right? I was talking over lunch about how I was expecting a little bit more, so they saved a little something special for me. And well, you can just see the footage for yourself. Okay, so once again, pretty epic. Now, I am using the trail control system, and that's low speed cruise control. It's going to keep the vehicle moving at whatever designated speed that you set using the cruise control buttons on the steering wheel. I have it set to 1 mile an hour, and it's just very casually cruising down this pretty steep and rocky descent. Again, they've really stepped things up here, impressing me with what this version of the Bronco Sport is capable of. And again, having this 2-liter engine has its benefits. One complaint I have in general, the fact that there's no low range gearing means when you get your foot into it, you really do feel that kind of torque buildup. So there's a bit of turbo lag off the top. You really have to be careful with how much you're modulating the pedal, because all of a sudden you end up with just a little too much gas. That is my one complaint, but other than that, this is a very impressive experience in what's a very impressive little crossover.